But I see so many people talking about raising taxes for the rich, or a wealth tax, or they wear very fancy dresses that say "tax the rich" onto a ball of all the rich people. That's how to show them. But the thing that I always say to people, and perhaps I'm being like naive in this, you can correct if this is wrong, but I'm always like, look, if we just stop the tax like dodging, if we close the loopholes and the tax havens, we wouldn't need to like raise taxes that much. We would just have more money in tax by enforcing the rules properly.
So you would definitely bring in more money by enforcing the rules.
Yeah.
But probably not enough to do all the things that we need to do or that's being promised.
Do you have like a sense of how much tax is being dodged in the UK?
HMRC has an estimate that's a bit of a lowball estimate of what they call the tax gap. And so that is the difference between the tax that should be paid and the tax that is paid. And they say it's about £35 billion. Now, to put that in context, the overall amount of money we get from tax is about 800 billion. So 35 billion out of 800 billion. So that is a good chunk of change, 35 billion pounds, but you would never be able to get all of it. You'd never be able to totally get rid of tax avoidance and tax evasion. That's just not possible. So yeah, maybe you could get 10, 15 billion, maybe a bit more from clamping down on tax dodging properly. And that is a lot of money. But it's probably not as much money as we need to have a really well-functioning NHS that looks after us, a social care system that is not broken, investment in local authorities so they can actually pick up our bins on a regular basis. All of these things cost money. And like they're good, like we pool together. I mean, this is the point of tax, is like by ourselves, we can't afford to make this happen. Collectively, we can come together and create a world where there is more security for ourselves and our families and our communities. So yeah, sadly, I don't think the answer is as simple as just saying, let's end tax dodging and that would fix all our problems, but it would really help. And I also think it would just help ordinary people feel more comfortable about paying their own taxes, without this sense that the rich and powerful can get away with not following the rules, or have even better, it's not just about not following the rules, it's they've created their own set of rules that only applies to the rich and powerful. If you're really rich and powerful, you pay everything that you owe, absolutely, but you make sure the rules are designed in such a way that what you owe is very low.
Make a little donation to the Taxpayers Alliance, and then they fight very hard for you. Or one of the many wonderful think tanks coming out of 55 Tufton Street. But another thing that I see often brought up in this discussion is this idea that HMRC is underfunded, which seems nuts. I know that earlier this year, I believe, or it might have been the end of last year, they cut a whole bunch of staff as well. I think they cut 2,000 staff. Like in the midst of the pandemic, when we're spending loads of money and we need the tax as much as possible, like we need the money, they managed to like cut the staff. But and I've seen like there's figures quoted, like everything from like every pound spent on HMRC is like, I think it brings back like 40 to 140. I've seen like both of those figures used and everything in between. It brings back that much. So why are we not like giving HMRC the funding, or is this like a non-issue?
No, it is definitely an issue. It's perhaps not as sexy as closing loopholes or going after tax havens, but properly investing in the people who go out there and collect the tax is a very, very good idea. As you say, if you're a revenue officer, if you're an investigator, you bring in many, many, many times the amount you cost in terms of extra tax.
Obviously, there's a point of diminishing
returns.
And
there's a point of diminishing returns, but we're so far from that. And actually, I think I saw a report the other day between 2016 and 2019, the number of tax investigations dropped by a third. So, this is pretty catastrophic, and the reasoning I think is ideological. The government was committed, particularly under George Osborne, to cutting civil service headcount, and that had to happen across the board, including at HMRC. And we're seeing that in less ability of the tax authorities to bring in money. And so it would be, it's actually quite hard to close loopholes effectively to make sure rich people pay their fair share. Investing more money in HMRC in a targeted way would definitely bring returns that would bring in more money. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. And it's interesting that it hasn't happened.
Yeah, it doesn't get discussed very often. I guess probably, like you said, it's not that sexy an issue. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for us in the comments below. Let me know what you thought and if you'd like to see more of this from the show. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.